Hello guys and welcome to my Barrows guide. Now I know a lot of you have been asking this for quite some time now and I've finally gotten around to doing it. In this guide I'm going to go over pretty much everything you need to know about Barrows, including what the minimum requirements are, what gear you should be using for low level setup, mid level setup and of course a high level setup, as well as a demo run to show you just how I do it and how I would recommend you do it too. As some of you will probably know some of this already, I have links to each section in the description if you want to just skip ahead. And just before we go any further, I'll be doing a 10-hour loot video from Barrows roughly this week. So if you'd like to see how much we actually make from that, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you do find this guide useful at all, don't forget to drop a like. So to start off with, let's go through the requirements. So I would say the minimum requirements for Barrows is 50 magic, and that will be if you're using the Iban's Blast spell. Now the Iban's Blast spell requires 50 magic to use and the completion of Underground Pass. The reason I recommend using Iban's Blast is because it does a max hit of 25, that's without an occult. With an occult it adds +2, so that's 27. And if you're using a Occult and a Slayer Helm imbued or a Black Mask imbued, whilst on a Slayer task, the max hit is 31. If you are going to be using Iban Staff, which again I would highly recommend if you're a lower level, obviously if you're high level just use a Trident, that's perfectly fine. I would recommend though, if you are using the Iban's Blast, to upgrade it for the cost of 200k, which means it holds 2,500 charges rather than the usual 120. This can be done by speaking to the Dark Mage, which is located in West Ardoyne. I'll just show you where that is now. So just at the entrance to the Underground Pass, he walks around about here. If you just talk to him with 200k in your inventory, you'll get an option to upgrade the Iban Staff. Also, make sure you bring the Iban Staff with you, because it will change from a normal Iban Staff to an Iban Staff upgraded. So you also need 43 prayer, 60 attack and strength, and around about 40 defense. Obviously with your melee stats, the higher the better, and the same goes for range. I'd say you need about 50 range, I would say. There are also some quest requirements you need in order to do Barrows. So Priest in Peril is the first one you need to do, followed by Nature Spirit. Technically after that point you can get to Barrows and you will be able to complete it. However, like I said before, if you are using an Iban Staff or Iban's Blast, you need to do Underground Pass. There is also one other requirement, which if you're going to be running here from Canifis, don't worry guys, I will show you how to get here very soon. But if you're going to be running from Canifis up here and using the trapdoor, I think you come out around about here and then running down, which is the slowest way to get here. Then you will need to do In Search of a Marak. Now, if you're doing that, I would imagine you're probably an Iron Man and don't have access to get here by other means, which I will go through in a second. My recommendations, now you don't need these, but these will definitely help out whilst you're doing Barrows. Completion of Mauritania Hard Diaries. Now, the Mauritania Hard Diaries actually give you double runes from the Barrows chest, so that's potentially doubling your loot from every single chest. So I would highly recommend doing that if you can. If you can't, then it's something to work up towards whilst you're doing Barrows. Also, a third-party client like OS Buddy. I use OS Buddy personally. I'm not sponsored by them at all. It's just my personal preference. You will notice that up here, it's got killed brothers. Obviously, they're all white at the moment because I haven't killed any of them. And it also helps out when you get into the crypts later on. So now I've told you the requirements. What is Barrows and where is it? So Barrows is a mini game which is located in the bottom right portion of Mauritania. I'll open up the map now so you can see exactly where it is. So the entrance to Barrows is just here. And don't worry guys, if you forget a spade, there's one in this little shack here. I can guarantee at some point you're going to forget your spade. Don't worry guys, I've done it plenty of times myself and I'm pretty sure everyone has at some point. So just again, it's just down here, the bottom right portion of Mauritania. So as I mentioned before, Barrows is a mini game, and in the mini game, what you have to do is fight 6 corrupted brothers in their respective crypts. So these little mounds here, you see that look like hills, they are the crypts. So what you need to do is dig down into them. Each brother has their own crypt. So each of these hills has one brother below it, which are as follows. You have Darok in the northeast. In the southeast, you have Guthans. In the middle, you have Arim. To the south of Arim, you have Caril. In the southwest, you have Torag, and in the northwest, you have Virak. There's an image on screen right now, so if you'd like to pause the video just to familiarize yourself with which brother is in which crypt. So how do you get to Barrows? By far the easiest and quickest way to get there is by using the teleport from the Archaeos spellbook. Or you can use the teletab counterpart, which is just this here, and it can be bought from the Grand Exchange for anywhere between 2.5 to 3k. If you don't have access to these, for example, if you're an Iron Man, then you can use the Shades of Morton minigame teleport, which will take you roughly here in the center. Hang on, just around about there, and then you just run over the little bridge and then run north and then south into the Barrows area. There is also a teleport scroll. I believe it's called the Morton teleport, but they are roughly 6 to 7k on the Grand Exchange, and I don't see why you would buy one of them instead of a Barrows tab, which brings you a lot closer and it's cheaper. The Mauritania Legs 3, which you get from the Mauritania Hard Diaries, also have a teleport to Bert de Rot, which you can use unlimited amount of times and is free. However, that does teleport you slightly south of Morton, just here. Of course, though, that is, like I said, a free teleport, and you can use that however often you like. And finally, the last way to get there, which I wouldn't recommend as it is quite long compared to the rest of them, is running from Canifis. Now, there is a shortcut you can use. If you go to Canifis, just behind the bar there's a teleport that brings you out roughly here. You then walk around, climb over the bridge, and then you get the boat. I think it's from around about here down to here. And in order to use that, you need to have completed In Aid of Murak, like I mentioned before. Okay, now you probably want to know what the rewards are from doing Barrows. The chances of getting a Barrows item is 1 in 17.42, and that's if you kill all 6 of the brothers. I would always recommend killing all 6 of the brothers, even if you're only hunting for one specific item. It's always better to kill all 6 of them, remember that. The chance of getting a Barrows item is unaffected by any other kill count you get whilst in the tunnels. So this means that if you do not kill any of the skeletons, spiders or bloodworms found down in the tunnel, you can still get some Barrows items. However, the chances of runes, bolt racks, key halves and dragon medhelms are affected by the other monsters that you kill whilst in the tunnels. I've left an image on screen which explains the chances of getting a maximum reward potential and what you can get. So if you want to pause it again, like I mentioned before, feel free to pause that and have a look at it. So basically, quick overview on what I'm saying there. If you want to get a Barrows piece, you only technically have to kill the 6 brothers. But I would personally recommend going for 100% roughly reward potential. That's what I go for, but you can decide what you want to do. So kill 6 brothers, you have a chance of getting a Barrows piece. And if you want runes and everything else afterwards, which I would recommend because they make up a vast amount of your money, then you want to get roughly 100% potential, if not more, by killing the other monsters down in the tunnels. Before we get into the setups, there is something very important you need to know before you start doing Barrows. All of the melee brothers, so Virak, Darok, Torag and Guthan, have absolutely 0 magic defense. So you can wear negative magic armor like I've got on screen right here, and you will still hit against them as long as it is above -65. You may also find it better to use magic against Carol, as you'll most likely hit more with magic than you would do with melee, which doesn't really make sense, but hey, this is RuneScape. However, you can attempt to kill him with a dragon scimitar, so give that a shot. I don't know, it might work out. And obviously with Arim, you always want to use your range setup, so that'll be your range bonus. All we have here is pretty much just a rune setup, so probably about 40 defense, 60 attack, 60 strength. This is pretty much the lowest I would recommend you going in this gear. Obviously, if you've got better gear, substitute it out. I've got this cape just because it gives you a bit of a prayer bonus, so you probably won't use as many prayer pots. Again, the inventory is just something that I would recommend. Give this a shot and then obviously adjust it, because yours is going to be slightly different each time, and obviously yours might not be the same as someone else's. So see what you're comfortable with and then get there. Also, Julian Ring, you want to teleport to Clan Wars after each trip, then go to the portal, recharge your stats, and then teleport back to Barrows. That's probably the quickest way you're going to be able to do that without having a pool inside of your house. This is the sort of setup I would recommend using for a mid-level setup. So again, if you've got anything better, swap it out. If you can't quite get something off this list, substitute it for something on the previous lower setup. If this is something you think you're going to be using, then like I said, pause the video, have a look at it, substitute things out that you can't use. Let's get into the high level setup. And this is my high level setup, and this is personally what I use to go and do Barrows. I really never need to eat food, and to be honest with you, I rarely have to use prayer as well. The reason I don't have to use prayer in my high level setup is because of the way I do it. Now, I will quickly show you how I do Barrows, and like I said, this is definitely the way I would recommend you guys doing it as well. So let's teleport into Barrows, which takes you just north of the Barrows crypts. Like I said, if you forget a spade, there is one there. Well, technically there's two there. So I always start off with Darok first, because Darok you're always going to need to pray melee against him, because you can hit quite hard. It can pretty much one hit you. So we'll quickly kill Darok. So once you're done with Darok, you want to move on to AreYouGaming. So like I said with AreYouGaming before, you want to use range against AreYouGaming 100% of the time. Again guys, with a high level setup, I find that I don't need prayer pots or anything of the sorts. Then you want to go down to kill Carol. So Carol is our tunnel there. So rather than going in and doing our tunnel, what I'm going to do is move over to Guthan, because those three are really the only ones you need to pray against. Guthan as well, you want to kill if you have a little bit of prayer left, because Guthan can heal and it can be quite annoying. But Torag never really hits, so you don't really have to pray against Torags as long as you've got at least 70 plus defense. And of course, everyone knows that Virak can hit straight through that prayer anyway. So there we go, that's Guthan down. Like I said before, we'll move over to Torag. So now we'll just quickly kill Torag. There we go, Torag is dead, and then let's finish off with Virak. And then obviously we need to go back to Carol as well. Before, as I mentioned about using a third-party client, as you can see up here, it tells me which brothers I've killed, and it'll also highlight which tomb I'm stood on. Sorry, which crypt I'm stood on. If I go back over here now, you'll see Virak will highlight grey. So just in case you guys are struggling with which brother is which, OS Buddy really does help with that. So let's quickly kill Virak. And there we have Virak down. So we need to go back to Carol now. And as we're going down into the crypts, into the tunnels, I'm going to change to my melee setup. So let's go down here, click on the tomb again, and it'll say, do you want to continue? Yes, I'm fearless. So when you come down into the tunnel, you'll notice that you're always in one of the 4 corner rooms. That will always happen, and it'll be random each time. So what we need to do is get to that middle room there, which is where the chest is. But as you can see, not all the doors I'm able to open. However, this one I can. Usually it is a different colour, but if you look on OS Buddy, as you can see here, it's blue. That door is blue, which means I can open it, which is fantastic. So if we go for this door now, sometimes the brothers will spawn in here. So if your brother does spawn whilst you're in the tunnels, that means you don't have to kill him at the end in the chest. So just for now, we'll pretend that Carol didn't spawn there. Usually what will happen is you'll go through and you'll just kill a few of these. Like I said, I always personally like to get 100% kill count, but that completely depends upon what you want to do. So we'll run through the tunnels. And as you can see here, this is my middle room. So what I need to do is quickly do a puzzle that will pop up. And the puzzles do change between 4 different puzzles. So I'll put them up on the screen for you right now so you can actually look at what they are. You'll need to study them and you need to be quite quick at clicking them. So just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm not going to get 100%, but I will kill this final rat. And then usually what would happen, if you noticed, Torag has spawned for this guy over here. Now it spawned once he opened the chest. Because I've already killed Carol, Carol will not spawn now. But usually what would happen is you'll open the chest and your brother will spawn. Make sure you kill the brother before you loot the chest. And then when you search the chest, you will get your loot. Now the reason I have my event set up like this is because I put my blood and death runes and chaos runes in the bag. I will put my mind runes there and then bolt racks there. And as you can see, cash will go down there. And then all I will do now to repeat this is teleport to my house. Use my pool to regen my stats and my special attack, and then teleport straight back to Barrows, and then we'll go again. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, like I said, make sure you leave a like and share it amongst your friends. Take care, and I'll see you later on this week for a 10-hour loot video.